So back to one of our top stories now. The U.S. accuses Russia of plotting a fake Ukrainian attack to justify invading the country. Holly Williams is in Kyiv with more. Holly, good morning.
Good morning. A senior U.S. administration official told CBS News Russia may have already recruited people to fake a deadly attack. But the truth is the U.S. has been warning of phony incidents set up by Russia for weeks.
We believe that Russia would produce a very graphic propaganda video, which would include corpses and actors that would be depicting mourners and images of destroyed locations.
With around 100,000 Russian troops massed on Ukraine's border, the US is warning that Moscow could stage a violent incident and blame Ukrainian forces as a pretext for moving in. The US government says a fake attack could involve military equipment purported to be supplied by the West and explosions, and the pretend victims could be in Russia or Russian-speaking people here in Ukraine. The US has not provided any supporting evidence, but claims by going public it's trying to dissuade Russia before it acts. The US has warned of similar plots before and of Russian disinformation.
Now, this is straight out of the Russian playbook, and they're not fooling us.
One example is a Russian state TV report in 2014 that a 3-year-old child was crucified by Ukrainian forces, now widely thought to be a fabrication. Maria Sahaidak works for Ukraine's government, calling out Russian propaganda.
They want to confuse people and to build this fake reality that doesn't exist.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin is in Beijing today for the Olympics opening ceremony, and he's been meeting with China's leader Xi Jinping. China and Russia have grown much closer in recent years and more at odds with the US. If Vladimir Putin did decide to attack Ukraine, and remember, Russia claims it has no plans to invade, China's support could be crucial. The US has threatened to respond with sanctions, and China, with its giant economy, could potentially offset the impact of those sanctions, whether they target banks or supply chains. Anne-Marie.
So, Holly, I want to get into this alleged false flag operation here. But first, let me ask you a little bit more about the Putin-Xi meeting. Do we know sort of any more details when it's going to occur, whether any of it will be public, or just how important it is?
It's very important. They've actually already put out a joint statement after meeting earlier today. It talks about things like resisting external interference. That's a kind of key theme for both of those countries. But they also criticise other countries, by other countries, read US, for provoking contradictions, disagreements and confrontation. So this will add to the sense, at least of some people, that kind of new lines are being drawn in a new Cold War with Russia and China on one side and the West and its allies on the other. Russia also says that the two sides are going to sign more than a dozen agreements relating to trade, energy and other issues. It's really interesting, though, that in this part of the world in recent years, Russia has really reasserted itself as a global player, mainly using its military might in places like Ukraine, in places like Syria. But when you see Vladimir Putin going to Beijing, he looks very much like the junior partner in this relationship, kind of going cap in hand to this newly powerful China, asking for its help.
Oh, that is interesting. So let's talk about this alleged false flag, really elaborate plan. Has the U.S. released any evidence to sort of back up what they're saying Russia was planning?
No, they haven't. That's a really, really key point. I think you saw it just then in our report. The US has not provided any evidence, and we can't independently verify it. So we should make that really clear. What we can say, though, is that broadly speaking, this is not a new warning. US officials have been warning about this kind of thing, both publicly and in private, for weeks now. We've had similar warnings coming from the Ukrainian government, and Russia does have a long history of being accused, at the very least, of using the tactics of disinformation.
Yeah, but the thing is, without evidence, then it's easy for the other side to say, well, I'm not lying, you're lying, which is exactly what Russia's saying. I'm just wondering, how is Russia responding to these allegations?
Well, they're doing exactly what you just said. They're saying that it's nonsense. In fact, that's the word that the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov used. He said it's nonsense. And the Kremlin spokesman said, I would recommend not taking anyone's word, especially the State Department's, when it comes to these issues. What I think is really interesting is this is kind of a theme now for the US throughout this crisis, is calling out what Russia might be about to do, whether it might be about to invade Ukraine, it might be about to use disinformation. And we don't know exactly why the US has been doing that. It's quite striking. But some people are speculating that essentially the US is trying to disarm Vladimir Putin because he's thought to be a disruptor, someone who likes to take people by surprise. That's one analysis. Another interpretation is that by doing this, by repeatedly telling Vladimir Putin what he might be about to do, they're actually inadvertently goading him into action. I suppose, perhaps, we'll see which one of those is true in the weeks, maybe months to come.
Yeah. Holly Williams, thank you so much, Holly. Well, we've been talking about Russia. We've been talking about the U.S. What about Ukraine? Well, Ukraine's ambassador to the UN spoke with CBS News about the situation in Eastern Europe, and you can stream that conversation right here at around 9:35 Eastern.